To the Voyage North chats with King Rathan. Tonight we've got a few guests with us who are going to help us kind of dissect what's going on in the grand battle this year and kind of what the scenario will be, which will show up in August. And my name's Jordan. In the game I play Rorik. Obviously I head up the Voyage North. Tonight's chat is going to be kind of open-ended. As with all things at Beakeling, it is not going to be simple. It is not going to be straightforward, but we are going to try and answer as many of the questions that you might run up to and against as you prepare for Beakeling. And we just want to make sure that you know what kind of the overarching plot, what the overarching scenario is that you're walking into this August. And King Rathan has been around in the game, almost as long as it's been around, and we defer to him on a lot of stuff. So we brought him on board to really kick us off and let you know what's going on. First of all, tonight I have Samuel with us. Samuel, would you introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. Sorry I don't have a camera set up. This computer doesn't have one handy. I play Finn Gowanson in the Ordo. I am involved in our virtual and geopolitical fronts. I am one of our big military officers on the battlefield. I am, I think, our most local member as well, which means I end up going to a lot of tavern nights, a lot of campaigns, getting involved in the community. So if you want a connection with somebody, or with something or some topic, if you can't find King Rathan or our Chancellor, I might be able to help you out.
Very cool. And Jonathan, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan. I play Jeffrey Bellimer. I serve as the Ordo's Marshal, sort of a chief of staff for the military, helping folks find their way, supporting and mentoring the senior officers. I also serve the King at his pleasure as his Chancellor, helping facilitate some of the ins and outs of the Southern Lands and making sure that protocol is adhered to, and that despite our egalitarian nature, that we do recognize the history and hierarchy there to suit. I am a 5-year veteran now of Voyage North, and you will find no friend, no more interesting group of folks than those who are members of Terre de Sud. So we look forward to an outstanding and exciting Grand Bataille. The most important thing is dip your toe in. Don't be afraid. What Samuel had to say is extremely important. Ask questions. There's lots of energy and excitement, battle and mystery to be had.
Awesome. Guys, just a small note. If you're not talking and there's any background noise, just make sure you go ahead and mute yourself. Just make it easier for listeners. Jason, you are up next, my friend.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jason Sanders in Portland, Oregon. I play Dooley Redcap, the Redcap Fae. I have kind of become a little bit of the English language ambassador for the Terre de Sud unofficially. You may have seen some of the songs that I've translated into English, and basically trying to put together all sorts of things in English to help inform people about the history of our great kingdom, of our king and our princes and all of that. I'm also currently in control of one of the Ordo Servi banners that is currently working on cleaning up nuisances in the Terre de Sud. Yeah, I think that covers everything. I'm a stag of 2 years with the Voyage North.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. And Eric, our King, Rathan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Eric in real life. I am Rathan. I've been playing at Beakeling for around 21 years. We started this project, the South Kingdom project, about 7 years ago. I had many lands in many different regions, many different kingdoms, and we were not satisfied by the play, the virtual play, and the physical play that was involved. those places were great. We had some lands in Andorre. No, Andorre is not great, but at the time it was not that bad. We had some in Caf, in Empire, and Berkwald. And I decided that I wanted something more, and I scouted the map to find a place where we could build up from ground zero. And the only place where there were no player was Terre du Sud. There were only NPC living over there. So we got there with a banner. We took I exchanged with somebody the most important domain called Brax, which was the base for the settlement for taking the rest of the province. So we used diplomacy at first, gather some stuff, and then the Sultan came really quickly in the first year. Not even after the first year we were there, and asked us to bend the knees. And the Sultan was up north. I'm sure you will hear about it. And then the NPC in Terre du Sud was the Sultan's bitch. So they came at us physically and asked us to bend the knees. And we told them to, can I say that? Fuck off.
You did now?
They told us they would destroy us. We told them they could try. They tried. They failed. And we finally took control of the whole kingdom. By the way, the Arrogance and the Berserk came with the Tracker, my guild. And through the three of us, the three guild took the two provinces, Dargana and Dulgaron. Slowly, it took us about a year and a half to take the two provinces completely. And then it took us another year to take control of the region. So I would say between the time we got there and the time we took control of the region, took us about 2 years. So it was kind of fast, but everybody thought we would lose it all because the Redemption was in a third province supporting the Sultan. And finally, like our national anthem said, we lost a great battle, but we won every little campaign around it. So in the end, we had lots of points to protect, and we throw everything at the redemption because we did not want it to spend those points on NPC, which they did not care about getting hit, you know. So we decided to spend everything on the redemption because they were kind of the puppet master. They were playing for the Sultan, recruiting and putting sticks in our wheels. So we sent everything we had at them. And then when the war ended with the Sultan, we concentrate on the redemption in Kazarun. Was impossible to let them live in Kazarun so near with all those bad intentions. Those guys are rats, man. Can't describe it. So I'm talking about player, of course. So it's a quick story. Everybody asks lots of questions. It's impossible to tell you in 1 hour all the history behind it, but you'll see some. We'll post some stuff. There's a forum that a player is preparing. He's going to be available soon, and we will put a lot of information. But there's nothing like being in the game physically, speak to people to know more and more every year. But it's impossible. Some people wants to know everything in 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 year. It's impossible. I've been there 20 years. I'm probably a character who is well informed of what's going on. I have some person bringing back to me information at the very source of the different kingdom, and I still don't know everything, and will be impossible to know everything. So be patient, speak to people, learn about the story, ask some question, and you'll take your place in the game. You'll slowly take your place in the game. And if I might say one last thing, Bicolin is a slow game. You only move 4 times a year. Some people wants to become king in the first year they play. I would like to say nothing is impossible, but it takes some time, you know, developing the domain, preparing your game, finding your network, your contact and everything. So be patient. It's a really slow game, and you can try to quick it up, but it's still you're still on the governance of the rules. So that's it.
Cool. Rathan, you mentioned not bending the knee, and I think that's a really key point to like what it means to be a member of Terre du Sud. Like, can you maybe tell us about not bending the knee and what other things set the South apart compared to maybe other kingdoms in the game?
Actually, every kingdom was already developed, and guild went in those kingdoms, and gather some lands, and it was already developed. A couple of buildings were on it. The political structure quickly took place. So if we go back 5 years ago when we took control of the kingdom, every kingdom had at least 10 years old of age. So the dynamic was already set up. Everything was set up. The old player controlled everything, making a little room for new player. Just to give you an example, in Andorre, there a guild called Salmarac, and there were a player called Salmarac, the chief of the guild, was one of the best role player I ever saw in my life. The guild was like 35 person. They were going to grand battle, to campaign, to tavern nights, everything. It took him 10 years before he become a lord. What we call in Terre du Sud, we called our lord, we call them prince. It's a law that we made when we sign up the kingdom, but it's the same thing. So it took them 10 years to get a province, you know. So in every kingdom, everything is set up. So that's why we kind of moved in the Terre du Sud. We wanted to decide, we wanted to be involved in the game and create our political council and our way of doing things and everything. And we decided not to bend the knees because it would have been the same. If we had bent the knees, we would have lived the same situation that we would have in other kingdom. Of course, in other kingdom, we would not have been slave, you know, but we would not have a lots of control or room or what's going on. It would have took us like 5, 10, 15 years. So by going in Terre du Sud and starting from ground zero, it was an opportunity for us to do that. But with the Sultan coming at us and the Redemption coming at us and say you're gonna bend the knees and all your sons are gonna name Nakan, like the Sultan, his name is Nakan Hassan. By Stupula, you are the control of the Redemption and blah blah blah. It would have been the same as anywhere else on the map. Plus, I was playing Fearless Warriors when I was young. I'm too old right now. Already said. But when I had 20, you should have. I was a demon on the battlefield. I was running and killing. And the campaign at the time, it was like not like today, 150, 200. It was like 40, 50% against another 40, 50%. And me and my brother were coming with 30, 35 arrow accurate. We shoot an arrow every 4 seconds. Say we were doing a lots of damage on the battlefield. So we were playing a little bit cocky, you know. So when it comes to the virtual, I have no choice to stay in that line, because if I would have playing scare and say, oh no, we're gonna lose everything we put in, we're gonna lose our shot, we don't have a lots of stuff, we're a small guild, we have a small chest, blah blah blah. It would not have been the character, the Rathan character. The guy behind Rathan, myself, I was telling myself, oh, we should just bend the knees and we will be all right. We could grow up our economy and everything, and in a couple of years take control. But it would have been a perversion of the character. So that's why we kind of decided to play all in and tell no, we won't bend the knees and we will fight. And that's what we did. And finally, we had to strategize a lot with the few resources we had and the few people we had, but we managed to do it. And then we were free, and everybody start to arrive at that point. So everything was to build. Everybody could have some places already, a couple of domain, a place on the council, a voice to every decision we take, a voice to everything we want to achieve in the future. Hope it's answering your question, Jordan. I will try to keep it. I talk a lot, so I will try to.
No, that's fine. I mean, you know, they don't want to hear me talk, so I'm glad you are. So I think that kind of, you know, actually, Jonathan, you were there the first year. So I think maybe it would be interesting. You know, I think the March Wardens are really new, and a lot of them have been around and heard the story of like why the March Wardens joined. But like maybe you could talk about like what it was like to walk in 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and you know what that experience was like meeting Rathan and why the Ordo joined right away with the Lands of the South.
I think it was a very interesting experience. There were 14 of us in the Ordo, and to say we were a speed bump on the battlefield would not be an understatement. We had a number of exceptional, capable warriors among us. We had some great role players. And as the new kids, we were being courted by everyone. We had offers from the Lotus Nochi. There, of course, were the religious sects that were trying to get us to sort of sign up with them. And I think we were a novelty. But to what Eric has said, what King Rathan has said, it was the passion of the Terre du Sud, and it was the independence that I think really not only caught our attention, but earned our hearts. And there was a certain genuineness extended by the kingdom towards this new band of travelers, which comprised folks from all over the U.S. and outside the U.S. And we were excited. Now, we had no idea at the time that it would grow to the Ordo Servi and then follow on with the March Wardens. But the spark of that fierceness and that independence, and I do think doing it differently, not bending the knee, did really get us excited. And that's where it was very easy to find ourselves aligned with folks who had an independent spirit, who were all in. We didn't know if we were going to come back the following year. And so we wanted to make it the most and put all of ourselves into it. And I think that's really where we found a kindred spirit in Rathan, in his general Katan, in Mildebar, all of the folks that made up the Terre du Sud, Prince Felix and Largance. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. But when you start to talk to Petit Jean of Le Berserk and start to understand there's some real passion and really quite a bit of thought and strategy. I think Eric underestimates the amount of work and energy that he's put into it. There's no, it's not an accident, and it's not luck. There's some skill and some gamesmanship here. And as he says, the game is slow. So while we're at Bico, the part you have to play as a member of the March Wardens or Ordo Servi is one of a citizen, of a participant in a greater event, but in a way where you actually represent on the battlefield. In some cases, you're actually representing armies. So it's an exciting opportunity, but one where the independence of the Terre du Sud, I think, really brought the Ordo Servi in line and brought us on board as a true ally.
Cool.
I don't know, Eric, if you have any other memories of our, there was quite a bit of courting going on from a lot of people trying to sway us to their side.
Yeah, that was well said, by the way, Jonathan. I do appreciate. And of course, it's the thing is, when a new gang is arriving, a new guild is arriving at Bicolin, everybody wants to buy, everybody wants a bit of it. Everybody wants to bring you home. in your kingdom. Everybody is trying to sell themselves. And the thing is, if you take kingdoms like Empire, Andal, Berkwald, that have been there on the scene for 20 years, they gather so many resources and they have so many domain and everything. So it's easy for them to buy new guild and bring them home. The thing is, when Ordo moved with us, they did a leap of faith, you know, because other kingdom has so much more to offer than us in terms of resources and domain, that everybody try and thought at the moment that Ordo were going to move with them, but they decided to stay with us, despite the fact that we have not much to offer besides the liberty and the concept of building a nation. And I think that's what had seduced Ordo. They could be part of the growing of the kingdom and not just entering in something already settled up. So we were kind of really happy. And the second year when they arrived and there were like 50 or 60, everybody was like, damn, and they try even on the second and third year. They tried to bring back the Ordo. And I'm so glad you guys stick with us. And look, we're growing fast. We have we were about 40 citizens, and we are now over 300. So we're getting somewhere.
That's amazing. Thanks, Jonathan. Rathan, maybe now fast forward to this year and talk to us about like the scenario and what is happening, that, you know, kind of this scenario that we're all walking into. Like, you know, every year the grand battle is different. Every year something changes. You know, there is, you know, the scenario is something incredibly different. You know, I know a few years ago there was a comet, and then there was the unearthing of, you know, what did the comet leave behind. And this year it's a lot less cataclysmic, as far as like a, there's not a comet coming to smash the metagame, but it sounds like this year there is a, you know, it might be, upset, the apple cart, if you will, of how the game has laid out. So maybe kind of tell us like what's going on, who are the two sides, and who's going to be duking it out this year.
Okay. So basically, for the past 3 or 4 years, the scenario, the complete scenario of the battle, the point you have to hold, the place you have to steal, the line, the flags you had to check in, the time box and everything. For the past 4 years, I guess, we will have that information at the very first day when they will give us the document. The thing is, before that, they were giving us that information long before the great battle. So we were preparing ourselves 2-3 months in advance. And 1 year, they decided to give us that on the very first day of the battle. So it makes our job so much more difficult, to organize everything. But they prefer that because they wanted this to be played on the field, not on the internet, So it's going to be the same this year. But the main line is Fédération Organize against against Empire. Okay, Fédération Organize is the Kingdom of Argan and the Kingdom of Aldorf. The two are called the Fédération Organize because in the beginning there were 2 different kingdoms, and the Argan invaded about 7 years ago. The Argan invaded the Uber kingdom. So It will come back to me. I have a blame, but they invaded that kingdom and it become one kingdom. But 5 years later, the King Hubert, okay, the King Hubert is now became the king of the whole federation. So they kind of united after the war. They kind of united and bound and became one nation. Okay, so it's gonna be that nation against Empire. So we could guess that every point that could be used in the virtual, okay, will be usable in one of those kingdom. You can, with those points, you could attack different building on the other nation and vice versa. So we will not be virtually touched this year by the battle. Okay, it's not a certainty. It's not 100% certain, but it's pretty much what will happen. Why is there a battle against la Fédération Organise and why against Empire? It's because virtually this year Empire moved an army composed of many banners on the kingdom of Fédération Organise. Actually, they did not move on the Argan part, but they move on King Hubert kingdom. So usually when there is a big attack in the virtual world, the maître de jeu MD, the non-player character, the one master of play. Can I say that, guys?
Game master, master of play.
Game master, sorry. Okay. So the game master used those virtual attack to transfer them in to the physical attack. So what will happen is pretty much the same as every year since 4 or 5 years. You know, every now and then there's a switch of alliances and it stick for a couple of years, and it's really difficult for the game masters to change that dynamic, you know, because those alliances are formed in game but the characters are played by people living in the 21st century with the values of the people in the 21st century. So it kind of tainted the game, because if 1,000 years ago I would betray somebody, here now in the game, the person behind my character have some remorse, you know. People don't want to quit don't want to betray. Sorry, that was the word I was looking for. People don't want to betray their alliance, especially when they are on the big side of that alliances. So the alliances for the past years, I would say 4 or 5 years, are quite simple. You have the Empire, the biggest kingdom of all the Collines, allying with the Berkwald, okay, and Andorre, okay, 3 of the oldest kingdom. And then you have the what they call themselves today is the Iron League. You have the Kingdom of Caf. You have the Kingdom of Fédération Arganaise. You have a part of Ozam, and you have Dinan. Dinan is a province. It's not a kingdom, but they have conquered their liberty with her help. We help them separate from Andorre, because Dinan, the Salmarac are playing super good, and Andorre was a kingdom of super good. And at the year when we battled the Sultan, the biggest slaver of all time, the Andorre betrayed their value and went to fight with the Sultan. And since that moment, Salmarac, with the province of Dinan, started to see what was going on in Andorre and decided that they don't want to live with them no more. They don't want to be part of that kingdom no more. So they separate. So you have a Kingdom of Caf, Fédération Organise, a part of Ozam, and the province of Dinan. This is called the Iron League. And the Iron League is opposing themselves to the Empire. Of course, we're not officially in the Iron League, but we are fighting with the Iron League for the past 5 years since our birth, because most of the Iron League fight with us at the Great Battle when we fight the Sultan. So it's gonna be pretty much the same forces on the battlefield that we had in the past 4 or 5 years, but Fédération Arganaise have a few cards in their sleeve, and they might succeed in taking some random guild from those kingdom. It's really difficult because we've seen a big change in the past year too. If you go back 10 years ago, guild was people were not really fighting kingdoms with kingdoms. Usually the battle was a guild against another guild, and people were grabbing the most guild they could brought on their side. And sometimes you could see half the guild of a kingdom fighting on a side, and half the guild of another kingdom fighting on another side. But it's starting to be difficult because kingdom regroup and start to tell themselves, we have to fight together, we have to be strong, we have to stick together to make a difference and to make an impact on the game. So it's becoming really difficult to go grab 1 or 2 guild of a kingdom if the kingdom is fighting on the other side. So we'll see what was going on. We'll see what will going on. And that's what the Iron League will try to do this year. As for the South, of course, it will be foolish to join the Empire and Burkwall. If we do that, it will be a battle of 5 against 1, you know. So sometimes people are say, I don't like to lose, I don't like to be on the smaller side. It's always we fight 2 against 3. They have more war machine, they have more monster, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. I already fight on the side that there were a lot more people, and it's not more fun. You walk on the battlefield looking for enemies, looking to fight, and nobody's there because there are so few of the enemy that you just walk around, and once in a while, whoop, you have a little fight, and then you have to wait another half an hour before another encounter. So by being on the smaller side, at least you are certain to have a fucking nice battle, man, because you will see so much action. So in a perfect world, we would like to have a pretty balanced battlefield. I would say half and half. But if there is no in the next few years, it will pretty much stick around what we've seen in the past year. Of course, we are growing in number. Okay, we are recruiting in the kingdom, the other kingdom as well. So the march is every year. We had 5 years ago 600 to 800 fighters, and that march is reducing, and I would say last year we had a difference of maybe 4 fighters on the field. So it's getting closer and closer every year. I think this is gonna be 300 fighter. Depends on which card we will play and what we'll be able to achieve. But of course, if we go with the Empire, if the South is going with the Empire, which will make no sense, we would go against the ally that have been fighting with us in Grand Battle and campaign in the virtual for the past 5 years. So it would make no sense. But if we would do that, it would be a difference of 800 fighters on the battlefield, which would literally be kind of a no fight, you know. So that's it. I hope I answered your question, Jordan.
No, yeah, that was perfect. I mean, it sounds like so. It sounds like you know, I mean, as long as you have your way, you want to go with the side that is not the Empire.
It's not the fact that I'm fighting against. I want to fight the Empire. We're not official enemies of the Empire, because virtually we don't attack Empire. They don't attack us. We don't go steal from them. They don't go steal from us. But physically, we are a force that have been opposing the Empire for the past 5 years, because when we had a battle, they did not come with us. They moved on the other side, and then the year after we were involved, and they were involved, and we were always fighting against each other. So it's not that I don't like Empire, but it kind of would make no sense to move in that battle with Empire. If it would have been Empire against Burkwald, everything would have been possible, you know. But the thing is that Burkwald and Empire and Andal are sticking together to make sure they always have the big block, the big blockers. But we are working to shatter this alliances, and maybe with lots of shit mixing, we'll have a new blocks of fight in a couple of years.
Okay. Very cool. Jonathan, Samuel, do you guys have any questions off of any of that? Otherwise, we've got lots of questions in the Facebook group and in the chat.
So I think, Rathan, just speaking to that new player, and I think you said a couple of very important things. One is, being a bit of the underdog, we're always guaranteed a good fight and plenty of opportunities for glory. And I think I've seen players really live that out on the battlefield. But as we go through the old town, as we make our way through the village, as folks go out and do quests at the Bureau de Caisse, what's your advice to a new player who finds themselves aligned with the Terre de Sud? How do they find their way? What do you tell that new player?
Okay. There is people on the field. Don't wait standing there thinking PC or a game master will come and entertain. That won't happen. There's simply too much people. You have to create your own game. There's a lots of tool at your disposal. There's tournament, many different tournament, archery, sword fighting, shield and sword fighting, gladiator 2 versus 2. There's some troll ball. There's some quest. There's some escarmouche. It's like small campaign in the day. There's 3 escarmouche a day. Get off the camp, man. Get off the camp. Look at the billboard. Look at the different activities that are proposed. Choose where you fit. There's some show at night. There's lots of things going on. Go see the billboard and look at what is going on, and you can choose and go there and start talking to people. Start making friends. Maybe you'll get invited in campaign and escarmouche. If you don't know everybody, go at the bridge just before the escarmouche and talk to people. Hey, who needs somebody? We would like to fight in that escarmouche. Hey, come with us on our side, and you will slowly meet people, talk to people. That's the way to go. And if I can say something, make friends, have some fun, but you have to understand something, and it's very difficult for every newcomer to understand that. I have many friends. I sat down at least once or twice a year with the Emperor, and I have a couple of drinks with him, you know. But having a friend doesn't mean he is your ally. Some people are coming at me and say, hey, I have a good friend in Andorre. Why don't we fight with them? They're cool. There's 20 years of history and behind the fact that we're not going to fight with them. But that doesn't mean you can't be friend with them. But but doesn't mean he will be an ally. For another example, I remember Jack. If you've seen that, you're gonna laugh. Jack came at me one time and told me, "Hey, Rathan, that guy, he's from the Guerrier de la Montagne, good friend of mine, pretty good fighter. You'll see next time they will come to fight with us." I don't think so, Jack. Yeah, you will see, you will see. I've seen nothing, because the Guerrier de la Montagne are always selling themselves to the biggest better, and usually it's the empire that have the most amount of money to put on. So you see, have some fun, even if it's with enemies. It's okay, it can become friends, but understood that friends does not mean allies in the game. That's it, that's all. Is that okay for you, Jonathan? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. So off the back of that question, I know a lot of, something that a lot of our new folks are wondering is, if like, what are some goals, or what are some aspirations, or what are like maybe one or two things that a brand new person can say, like, I want to help the cause of the South. I want to help Ordo or the March Wardens grow. Like, what are some things that they can get out there and do and conspire to do, to help move the cause forward? What would be a couple of things they could do?
Representation, the way you represent your group, your guild, your teammate, the way you fight on the battlefield, the way you conduct yourself in the village, and everything. And if you participate to campaign, skirmish, to tournament, to quest, sometimes you will have some information on the battle. Okay, so everything you are doing can bring some information and some materials that you might not know what it could help, but if you bring that to those leader, they will be in position to use it. They will refer you to the different general that lead the battle, and all that information can help us took some points on the battlefield. And if you gather resource or materials, you can keep some for you, to exchange and have fun. But the most important place for those resources are on the virtual map, So it's a thin line between I keep some stuff to have fun and trade, and I give some stuff to my virtual guild leader. In that case, I think Sam is starting to doing that job for the past year, and he's starting to learn quite fast what is going on and how to move stuff and everything. So, say go at him, show him what you got, offer him some stuff he could need. He will tell you, okay, that I need. I would love to have it. That you can keep for trading and having fun. I have a lot, and but that's the way you can bring to your guild and to your kingdom, by the representation, by your participation in many activities, by the visibility you will give to your guild and your kingdom, and by the information and resource you can gather for the virtual cause.
Awesome. Jonathan, Sam, anything you guys want to add on those points about new players and getting out there and getting it done in the during the GB for the to advance the guilds, that kind of thing?
I can throw definitely one in there on making friends and talking to other guilds. The one thing I have noticed as a spear fighter and someone who can come out to the campaigns and participate every month is that if you go out and you make friends with another group who's, say, always on the Empire side, which we happen to fight against a great deal. So I've made a number of friends in Redemption. I've made a couple friends in some of the Romanesque guilds that we often fight against, like the Praetorians or the Infernal Legion, and Helican as well. These guys, some of them come from different styles of fighting. They are not normally foam fighters. They often fight with steel, or they fight heavier. And some people will say, they're not always fair play. They don't always take their hits. sometimes that's because they don't always feel them, or they don't recognize that there was a hit. One of the best ways I found to counter that is, you know, call if the guy gets you or the person gets you really, really well, if they've got a good shot on you, compliment them, like make sure you look at them, give them a nod, say, hey, you know, good shot. And then afterwards, try and find them. If you bump into them in the street, be like, hey, weren't you the one guy who got me in that last fight? Make friends with them, because then they notice you on the battlefield. There's a guy in the Helican Guild that came up to me one tavern night and told me specifically that he hates seeing me on the opposing line, because he knows now to look for me to see if I'm there, because if I am there, he knows he can't kill like 7 people in a row anymore, because I specifically target him first. So if you make friends with the other guys, if you make friends with your opponents, obviously with our allies as well, but if you make friends with your enemies, you will notice better fair play from them. And if they notice that you did something that's not necessarily fair play, or maybe it's a rule you weren't aware of, rather than coming over and be like, hey man, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that, that's not allowed, they'll come over and be like, hey, you know, just so you know, I saw you doing this. This is why it's not allowed. If you're not sure, you can check with the marshal, but this is something that is or isn't done. So definitely building up your friendships with groups that you don't necessarily fight alongside, that you often fight against, I would say is one of your best things. If you're looking for better fair play, for more fun, like stay in touch with people, go find them after the battlefields, buy them a drink, just chat with them, get to know them a little bit. It's a lot of fun. It'll make your game experience significantly better.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I think, you know, Biko is a very competitive place, you know, like it is intense. The fighting is intense. But there is you know, we've hit on it here a few times, that there's a strange dichotomy where you will vehemently kill someone on the other side of the battlefield from you, and you will hate their guts, and you will, like Sam said, you will line up against them, and even by the end of the week, there'll be a few faces that you will begin to recognize even by your second battle. I don't know his name, but there is the one dude from Redemption who walks out with a shield and a mace every single fight, and he walks out in front of the line and slaps his shield and puts on a big show, and he is furious, and I hate lining up against that guy. But that same guy, you need to go up to after the battle and say, hey, great job, you killed me 9 times, I cannot defeat you, and you are an excellent player, thank you very much. Shake that person's hand, and you know, you see them, you know, in the Old Town Tavern or whatever, like share a drink with them, make jokes with them. There is this strange dichotomy where you will hate the people in the Empire and the people that you line up against, but you should go out of your way to make friends with them, to be a good sport, to have good sportsmanship towards them, because a lot of it is, you know, it is team-based, and we have lost Rathan, which is a sad story.
To build on that one, Jordan, quick, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was it? I think it was Susie, one of the artist twin elf archers that we've got in Ordo, posted a picture to one of the Beekling forums of Ragnarok, which a lot of veterans will know is one of our sort of like, you know, nemesis guilds. These are one of the guys that we're always up against. Their emblem is a wolf, a giant white wolf, and Susie posted this little image showing a wolf completely furious, like fur bristling, teeth bared, snarling, saying Ragnarok on the battlefield. And then the next image is almost the same wolf, probably is the same wolf as far as I can tell, and it's super happy. It's this cute little puppy-like thing, and it's labeled Ragnarok off the battlefield. The Ragnarok Guild is really, really good at this. They are absolutely ferocious fighters on the battlefield. They are hardcore. They are angry. They are mean. They are vicious. You get them off the battlefield, and they're just like, hey, how's it going? That was a great fight. Here, have some cider. I couldn't leave a tavern night once because the Ragnarok guy I knew insisted that I finish off his horn of cider to finish it before I could leave.
Yeah, and I think that's totally what happens. I think even your most ferocious enemies on the battlefield, you want to strive to make them your friends off the battlefield. That is the best way to go. So maybe Eric, now that you're back, you know, maybe it's too early for this. Maybe it's not time to discuss this. But what would be the best case scenario for the South this year? Like, you know, what should we be working towards, shooting towards, that kind of thing, as you know, as we prepare for the week, as we move forward? Like, what is the best case scenario for us as a kingdom?
The best case scenario would be to win the battle, but even if we don't win the battle, we have to try to make it as close as possible, so the kingdom of Argan won't be destroyed by the point. If we don't fight hard, if we go there and tell ourselves, oh, we're gonna lose again, and just take it slowly and don't involve ourselves and don't fight hard, they will get all the points and they will virtually destroy the kingdom of an ally. And we won't be touched by that. But if they weaken our ally virtually, it's becoming more and more difficult for us virtually to stand off, you know, to those big, powerful kingdom. So we'll have to scratch and grudge and try to take every point, every little time box, every little flag we will be able to minimize the damage. That's what we want to do. We want to minimize the damage, and it's possible, folks. Last year we were like 300 or 400 fighters underdog, and at the first battle there were like a 40-point difference on the total on 500 points. You know, there were 500 points in play, and there were, despite the fact that they had 400 fighters on the battlefield, more monster, more fighting machine, we came to 40 points differences, which it's pretty much a tie, you know. So that, not because we are underdog, not because we will have 300 fighters less than them, that we have to just take it easy and let our arms down. We will have to fight as hard as we will be able to minimize the damage and get as much point as possible, so our ally kingdom won't get destroyed, you know.
Okay, that makes sense. So here's a question, and again, all of these are, you know, thrown out. Maybe you can answer, maybe you can't. But are there any other guilds that we're looking to, quote unquote, court to our cause? Any guilds you're hoping to, you know, flip or turn that might, you know, make a big difference?
It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. The big guilds are well in plan in those kingdoms. Say, for example, La Meurthe is well in plan in Burkwall. They're gonna stay with Burkwall. The Ragnarok is well in plan in Empire. They will stick with Empire, even if people try. Oh, I've drink with some Ragnarok dude. I think we can switch them on our side, and that won't happen, you know. So the work on that is long term, you know. We're working on nation by hitting some guild and try to bring a new vision in the kingdom, so they will try to consider going other avenue than sticking with their old alliances. But in terms of individual guild, I don't see right now that we have some guild that we can we can just switch out, get them out of their kingdom. It's pretty difficult, especially when those guilds have a province or many domain or a couple of fiefs, you know. So it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. Of course, we have some agent that are working on that issue, but it's not necessarily a time frame for the battle. It's more in terms of, it's more in long terms objective, you know, 1, 2, 3 years, and changing mentality and trying to fraction those whole alliances. That's it.
Okay.
If I can build quickly on what Eric was just saying, it is difficult. We have made some headway. There was a really big and important scenario this past fall, Danat, that Eric has been referencing. It is the first time a province has broken away from a kingdom, which is absolutely something totally new. Bigling rules had to be modified, by my understanding, so that this idea could come to be. And for one of the first times that I've heard of, we had Phoenix fighting alongside us. Does that mean that Burkwald will necessarily break away from Empire? No. Are we making progress towards a possibility of that? Definitely. And I'm also seeing Eric give me the nod, which means I'm on the money. So woohoo!
Yeah, totally. It's small victory, you know. And in that case, Samuel is right. You're starting small, you know, with some campaign, and in that campaign, the fact that Salmarak knew Phoenix for about 20 years, and they wanted to separate themselves from Andor, even if Burkwall at the Great Battle are sticking with Empire and Andor, when it comes to campaign, it's a lot more easier to go and try to switch them off. And the fact that Salmarak and Phoenix have bonding and drinking and playing together for the past 20 years really helped that, especially that Burkwald does not necessarily like Andor folks, you know. They came at us and they came at CAF last year, and they told us they wanted to get rid of Andor and their alliances, and they would like to see the South come instead of Andor and their alliances. But that would mean turn her back on her allies of the past 5 years. So Sam is totally right. It's a slow process, but it's doable. Especially you start with campaigns when there's a lot less involved. You know, it's easy for Phoenix from Burkwald to say to Andor, it's not a great battle. We don't agree that you're trying to impose the law on Dinan. They deserve their freedom and everything. So
cool, awesome, guys. Let's see. Next question. Basically, the question is this: Killian wants to know. Do we know who will be the general of our side this year? Or maybe some of the options that are already being floated around. He would like to get to know them as well as he possibly can, as soon as humanly possible.
So he can butter them up and buy them drinks.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, I mean, that's...
of course, King Uber is going to be a general. That's for sure. If we look at the scenario of the past year, you have to name different general on each side. So I can assume that King Uber is going to be a general. Calin from the Argan, the former king of Argan, will probably be a general. Those two, it's pretty sure. Hector from the Lion will probably be one as well. That's the first three names that come out to me, and maybe Parfond de Val, our new general, our new South general, will be named as well. I don't know the exact game plan. It always depends on the information we got at the first day, and then we have to calculate the vote card we have to make sure we're not getting stuff in our planification and our strategy. So we could assume we will have at least 2 official general names, which will be King Hubert and Calin, probably. And if there's more, I guess with Hector or Parfond de Val. Those are my those are the names that are coming to my mind if I'm thinking quickly. And so Hubert is the king of la Fédération Organaise. He's with Le Point Fer. You have Calin is with La Chimère. You have Hector is with the Lion, and then Ivo Parfond-de-Val is the South General is with the Arrogance. So you have the 4 name and 4 guilds. So come to see me at the Battle Kill, and I'll help you find them, and we'll have a drink while we try to find them.
That's funny. Perfect. Cool. That'll be good. Let's see. What else did they ask? Does Terrace du Sud have any war machines or monsters we are planning on putting on the battlefield this year?
We do not have monster, but we do have a couple of war machine provided by I don't remember his name. He's the merchant who have a big cabins in form of the Darganov Trading Company. He will probably have 1 or 2 war machine available if the general needs it. Of course, our allies, we have some, but a war machine is very expensive to put on the battlefield. You have to pay a lot. So and there's a limit. In the past year, we were not up to our limit necessarily, but this year we will have enough war machine to top off that limit. And there's at least 2 that will be coming from the south. Yes. As for the monster, we have none in the south yet. Our allies have a couple. There is La Gargouille, is the True Fate monster. If Le Pays des Sables are moving with us this year, there's Usgul. That's the thing we're trying to change. Le Pays des Sables always sell themselves, and we are working on them to become part of our alliances and start selling themselves as mercenary. So no, if somebody in the south want to create a monster, it would be the first.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Get us a monster. That's awesome. The vendor is Ben Becker, who is a friend of mine, and he makes incredible all things foam. Just throwing that out there. And so if he's making a war machine, I assume it will be an absolute beast. Also to be noted, apparently Hector is also a monster, according to everyone in the chat on the Facebook page, because apparently he's a monster. Let's see. This is really one of the last questions I have. So Rathan, everyone wants to know if you're going to choose a new baguette champion to fight the mighty Takara this year.
A new what?
A new baguette champion.
What is baguette? I'm sorry.
A baguette is like bread, pan.
Okay.
I don't know the story behind that, but I am. Mike is probably watching. And
to fight Takara?
I guess so.
It's a lost cause, man. You can't win against Takara.
You can't fight her.
You can fight her.
No way.
Especially with a beer. But I could try. I could try to choose somebody worthy, but don't make yourself a big head thinking you will win that, because it's looked pretty much impossible to me.
Mike, I hope you're watching. I hope that you purchase a couple of those foam baguettes from who makes those? I think Nemesis makes those, and I would like to see Takara beat the tar out of someone with a baguette. I think that would be the most legendary thing I've ever seen in my life. So let's see. what other questions do I have? Let's see here. So someone asked what the likelihood of us becoming permanent allies with Argon is. They're waxing poetically about their navy and what that might do to the South if they were to become permanent allies of ours.
You mean Argan?
Yeah, Argon.
Argan. Actually, the most powerful navy on the planet is not owned by Argan anymore, because the most powerful navy is owned by La Coque Rouge, and La Coque Rouge left Argan for Brookwald. But I'm an ally of Legarto, the chief of La Coque Rouge, for the past 15 years, and he won't give us anything, but he won't use his ship won't be used to attack us. But the thing is, Argan still have a couple of ship, a decent navy, even if Legarto have left. It's not helping us in the economic way, but it could help us if we want to bring some army on another battlefield in the south, because geographically we are very well situated. The south is very difficult to invade because you have to cross a sea or a big part of land to end up in our territory. And it would be possible for a navy to bring an army, but we would have the time to respond before they brought some other army, and so we will have the advantage. So I would say that having an advantage of being a permanent ally with Argan is that if we need to move some army on the other continent, they would brought their ship to our shore. We could full them with army, and they could quickly bring them on the battlefield on the other continent. That would be the advantage, because economically they are using their boat to do their caravan. They won't let us use their boat unless you manage to deal with them and approach them. That would be possible. But as being permanent ally of Argan, we're kind of already alive for the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years, because I had some land in Argan, and even if I sold those land, we are still alive since that date. We are always fighting on the same side at every great battle, pretty much always on the same side at the campaign. Not always, but there's a few exceptions. But in the end, we are allies for the past since the birth of the South. So I'm not seeing why it would change in the next few years, but that's how I think we could use those boats if we needed to.
Cool.
We have to create our own navy if we want to be that's the next step, actually, and that's the March Warden March Warden objective: create the South Navy, so we will have our place on the seas of Bicoline.
Very cool. I know that Kitsune has a boat, so it's up to him to be the captain there. I think that would be great. Jonathan, Sam, we haven't heard from you guys in a while. Anything you wanna? Any questions you have? Anything you want to chime in on?
I think I just want to reinforce that, as you're building, people want to be associated with a group that is that deals in fair play on the battlefield and in all the competitions, that is bold and engages, even if we make mistakes, and that represents, the spirit of our independence. So in a way, every time, no matter where you are in the guild, the March Warden and the Ordo, as you walk through town with your colors and you demonstrate your willingness to engage, on the battlefield in fair play and in the taverns with good company, it reminds people that there's a reason why in 1014 the Ordo cast their lot with Terre de Sud. And there's a reason why maybe some people ought to reconsider where they're casting their lot. That goes to the long game. That goes to the long game, and it goes to building that filial relationship that I think makes Bicolline truly magical, where you can find yourself with brothers and sisters in arms, and fiercely contested on the sport fields, the battlefields. It's a magical place, and I think our efforts, guided by the example we've seen set in Terre de Sud, go a long way towards helping build that long game, even though we're only there for a week.
Yeah, I got to back Jonathan on that one. It's been mentioned a lot during the whole chat. Bicolline it's a long-term strategy game. Yes, it's got elements from Lord of the Rings, or other fantasy stuff you've been reading or watching, Dragonlance, all that kind of stuff, D&D. But you're almost better off thinking of it like a big game of Risk, where occasionally you get to play out the armies. Bicolline is long game, it's long term. We hate telling people, but I know I've told some who are just like, oh, I want to be a wizard or a priest. It's like, is it possible? Yes, but like Eric was saying, it's like it's really difficult to do that in 1 week.
Right.
So like you're helping build long game. If you're wanting to get involved in stuff like that, yeah, focus on your fair play, like help build up our guild, our relations with other guilds. If you've got a particular style you want to do, I know last year one of the Australians brought her kimono and went off and had a tea ceremony with Lotus no Chi. And I think that has really improved our relations with them. That is the sort of stuff I think would be really, really advantageous to us long term, and it would help you be part of the foundation going forward.
You're absolutely right, Samuel. And people need to bring their best RP, their best self, and dive in. And if you look at what Jason did with his Dooley Redcap character, if you look at what other folks have done with Fae characters or different aspects of their own personas, you can be big and huge, absolutely, throughout Bico. It won't harm the long game, and it will only enhance your experience. And I think we had one woman 2 years ago, and really came as almost a fill-in, and she spent a good couple of days playing a beggar in the streets, and just had a fantastic time and really enjoyed engaging to add to the flavor of the site. Because when you're there to communicate its effect on you, when the lights go down and the vehicles are off site, and you hear a strain of music or laughter, and you look about, you are transported. And so transport your best self, that image or vision of what you want to be in a place that is really, truly, truly magical. And all those things that swirl around you, their folks are there to help guide you through it. Folks like Samuel, folks like Rathan, folks like Jordan. You'll be well taken care of in that regard. So you can play freely. And I think that's really the beauty of the site and the game.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I mean, something that I want to say is, while Bicolline is the long game, I mean, you will hear us sit around and tell no shit, there I was stories till the cows come home about the amazing, epic things that people have done their first day, their first week. And even some of those stories are from really unassuming sources. People who are not bold and loud, people who are not, super extroverted, who want to get out and take over the whole world. A lot of times it is just a friendly, smiling face and a willingness to dive into some strange camp, full of strangers that they've never met before, and be really, really friendly. Goes a really long way, and you will make inroads to places, and you will come home and back to our camps with more stories than you know what to do with. Like, while it is a long game and you have to be patient and you have to know that, you know, there are, you know, what feels like real geopolitical forces at play, you can jump in and have a lasting impact right away. So don't be upset if you don't come in your first year and usurp King Rathan, which none of us will let you do. We will cut you down. Seriously. But also know that you know, you can jump in. You know, you might not be a wizard or a witch, or you might not do that, but there are a million little role play things that you can get involved in and have a giant splash in the game that are going to make you feel like $1,000,000. And I think that's what we're all going for here at the end of the day, is that we get to participate and we get to feel like $1,000,000. Rathan, anything else? I've kind of run through the questions. Cool. The YouTube chat is blowing up. I think they would like to listen to us talk all night. But I also want to be respectful of everyone's time. So, well, wait. Here's maybe one more question. Oh, here. I mean, this is a good question. So, you know, in the past, when Ordo took the front, we had a huge need for you know, diplomacy to all the different guilds. What does that look like for us this year for the different guilds? You know, is there a way for us to jump in and get involved in trying to sway kind of the diplomatic tides, if you will? And is there a way that, let me just make sure I get this question correctly. You know, so what will be the need for diplomacy leading up to Saturday, and even before that, like on our, you know, from our guilds? What do you need from us?
The thing is, we will, this year, it's going to be a Fédération Organized battle. Okay. So the strategy, the political strategy will come down from them, and then it will slide down to the different other guild. So what I suggest is one or two leader from Ordo can go see directly the king Hubert, and ask him if he needs you to go see different guild, if he needs you to take contact with different guild, because there's so many people to see when it's your battle. It's impossible to do it on your own. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I've learned the hard way. You need some people who will engage dialogue with some people you don't have the time to do it. But the thing is, the error is sending many different people because the communication get all mixed up. So if you guys are proposing somebody and the leading pack told you, yes, we would like you to engage with that guild, it always should be the same person or the same two person going to see those guild back and forth with the leading agency, and to make sure the communication is good. But I'm sure it is possible, and I'm sure that the King Hubert won't spit on help if some people are ready to engage a political discussion with the different guild that need to be briefed or that need to be approached, or etc.
So maybe we should send like a political delegation to go see the king, and ask him what he needs.
Yeah, at the beginning of the week, that would be the first thing to do. So you engage yourself, letting know that you have lots of people ready to help, and then that will be noticed. And then when he will need to bring you in the action and ask you to go from left, right, behind, front, he will know he can count on you. So he will give you a shout out and ask you some different things. Depends on what is his strategy.
Okay. Let's see. I got a question from the March Wardens about the Norse Alliance, and you know, they're dabbling their fingers in there. I have word from someone who shall remain nameless that thinks they're going to turn the entire Norse Alliance over to our side. So there's some big talk, but I mean, what I know the Norse Alliance is like a bit of a new movement. What's your thoughts on that?
If I would say to that anonymous person that it's not possible, I would betray the things I thought, because when we tried found the foundation, can I say that? When we tried to create the South, so much person came to me and told me that's impossible. You can't do it. You won't survive. You will die. You will lose everything. It's impossible. Blah, 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 blah. So there's no way I'm going to tell somebody it's impossible. Everything is possible. The Norse Alliance is composed of different guilds, mainly from Brookwald, with the Frères d'Armes and the Meurthe. But I heard a lots of story of people coming around. The anonymous person already know much more than me on that, I'm sure. Puis, I'm sorry. Ah, tu t'en vas coucher chez Brad? Ah ouais, je pensais qu'il venait coucher ici.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
That's cool. I'm sorry, my son is just leaving home to fight. No, he's leaving home to friend. Ciao, Zach. On se voit demain, man. Okay, cool. Sorry for that. My little boy is leaving all night. So, donc, like I said, I'm sure that anonymous person know already more than me on that alliance. I will have some information on that at the beginning of the battle. I did not want to get it from the internet. That's something I wanted to do. And I had discussion with Kitsune on that possibility to do something with the March Warden, and that was well presented. And I think it could bring something good. So we'll have to work on that at the Great Battle with the March Warden and the North Alliances, and Toki, of course, which Toki is an old friend of mine. So I'm sure we will figure something out that will be positive for everybody.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Last question that I have, since no one else has posted anything, but I have been told that one of the most up-and-coming, fiercest warriors of all time. He is still a very young boy, but he will be gracing the Ordo's presence this year, hopefully. And so, what's up, Oliver? And he will be coming with the Fletchers. And what if anything can young Oliver do? To champion the cause of the South among the very young kids that he will be fighting monsters and goblins with.
How old is he?
I'm sorry, Oliver, if I butcher this, but I believe he's 8 or 9.
Okay. You will have to fight my son first. Okay. And then we'll see how he's doing. Okay. And from there, we'll see what kind of mission could suit him. But the children guys are the next generation, eh? Fight with them, help them, teach them, bring them, carry them, because tomorrow they might save your lives on the battlefield.
I mean, I have no doubt that in 20 years or so, Oliver will be leading a front. I mean, he's trained by Jack and Zoya. There's almost no doubt in my mind that he's going to be lighting people up as soon as he turns 16. So, yeah, it'll be good. Oliver, I believe in you, buddy.
Those kids are so much more complete fighter than we are. For example, most of us start to fight at 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. Our kids start at 3 years old with a sword in their hand. So when they arrive at 16, they have a background of competence and abilities and practice that we did not have. So that's why it's becoming more and more difficult every year, because the young generation is coming and pushing and coming and pushing. So kids are fighting already amazing. I'm fighting some kids sometimes, and I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. They're 8, 9, 10 years old, and I'm like, wow. Okay, I wish I was that good when I started at 16, 17. Actually, no, I'm lying. I started at 20.
Rathan, have you seen the movie 300 about the Spartans? And, 300, and they fight the Persians. Have you seen this?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's, the beginning of the movie. I'm pretty sure that's how Oliver was raised, just in the wildlands of Texas instead of, in Greece somewhere. So, I mean, he's going to be a tough cookie for sure. Cool. Well, Jonathan, Samuel, anything you guys want to chime in on as kind of final notes? I think I'm looking in the chats here and just...
Pour mon Roy, merci beaucoup. It was always a pleasure to see you, and I look forward to once again serving the South and, of course, the Ordo.
Yep, I've got not much else to add other than thank you, Your Majesty, for your time. I will be seeing you probably during the pre-montage if you guys are up there. And other than I got beat up by a girl who was probably like no more than 4 last year while we were training at the edge of our camp. This adorable little girl in a cute little dress came over, grabbed a sword, and beat the snot out of me for almost 5 minutes straight.
You deserved it.
You did.
Probably. Yeah, no. If people want to get in touch, learn about things, get involved in things, I will do everything I possibly can to help them get going on that.
Very nice. And Eric, as we get closer, we'll, do you mind if we bombard you with questions and thoughts and strategies as we get closer? Just probably via Facebook?
No problem, Jordan, anytime. And if I may, guys, I just want to say that I really would like to know each of you personally. I'm trying to go in every guild multiple times a week. I'm going in every camp, trying to meet people, talking with people, answering questions. But say we're now over 300 people, so it's kind of impossible for me to know each of you personally. It's not that I don't want, it's just a question of time. It's just impossible. But I hope we get the chance to share a drink, a meal, a song. Really like a song night at Ordo. So you will see me over there, that's for sure. Don't be shy. Come to see me, present yourself, and maybe it will develop on some beautiful relation that I develop with Jordan, Jonathan, Fletcher, Killian, Takara. I'm starting to know better Sam, and every day I appreciate you more and more, and so on and so on. So I wish I could see and talk to each and every one of you. Close to impossible, but I will do my best. I will try and have fun. Have fun. This week is an amazing week. It will, especially if it's your first. So open your eyes and be open to any proposition you can have, and feel the vibe, and find your fun and the things you love, and you'll have a wonderful week. And thanks for your life. I'm kidding. I will go die with you. Don't worry. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for the hangout.
A bientôt.
Okay, maybe it's me. Is it me cutting out? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyways, well, guys, thanks for being on the call. It's won't keep you guys any later. We'll make sure that we do this. Eric, thanks for your time. Thanks for being so welcoming. Thanks for coming to our camp year after year and hanging out with us. Thanks for letting us occasionally invade your camp and sit around your most beautiful fireplace. I know a lot of folks are hoping that you'll come around and throw free bread at us again, and which was definitely memorable last year. And we appreciate you welcoming in a wily bunch of Anglophones into your world, and we love what you've done. We love what the South stands for, and we appreciate you taking your time to answer all of our questions. And we can't wait to hang out with you in person. And
pleasure was all mine,
see
Jordan.
what kind of trouble we can drum up this year.
Got it. Did not quite understood what you last said because it kind of cut. But I thank you guys for believing in the South Dream, and we have.
I think my internet is.